Hello, how you doing? Look at this.
Not bad.
What a fabulous thing.
Yeah,
Howard
great.
and Sons, Castlelane, two-seater sofa.
Nice.
Looks terrible, but it's got some lovely features to it which I want you to retain.
Yeah.
That, I think, is a beautiful design detail, particularly, you know, that little cut. It's just lovely.
It's a nice settee all over, though, isn't it?
There was a lot of structure to the sort of shoulders of the piece and the backrest and those little sort of pochette cushions on the side. And we need to retain that. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into another homogeneous blob of a sofa. We need to get back to exactly why it was such a quality and premium thing in the day.
Originally trading as a cabinet maker, Howard and Sons first opened the doors to their now famous furniture shop in Berners Street, London, in 1848. They built up a name for themselves pioneering soft feather-stuffed cushions instead of the traditional firm horsehair. The famous Howard and Sons comfort factor earned the company the royal warrant, and the royal family, particularly the Queen Mother, were huge admirers and built up a large collection.
Can we just flip it onto its back? Obviously, that's gone. But I don't think any of the springs are snapped.
Right.
They're fairly obvious, aren't they?
I'll check them anyway once I get the webs off.
Okay.
I'll get it as flat as I possibly can, so we'll get that seat back up to how it should be.
The actual cushions themselves and the upholstery inside is all good. The sofa is coming up to 100 years old. Those cushions, when you press on them, they still lift and they reform back to how they should be. And that's just a mark of the quality. You know how much these things are worth. So, you know, they're expensive little things, these.
Yeah.
So nice and careful, because you know I can't buy another one.
Right, I'll get it on the bench and see what we can do with it.
Craig's responsibility on the sofa is quite large because it's a very expensive piece, and I just need to make sure he goes nice and slowly and does it properly.
I've probably done hundreds of Howard furniture, chairs, sofas. This particular model I've never done at all, so this is going to be a first for me.
The original 1920s silk covering is beyond repair, so Craig will have to remove it completely.
I've got to take 2 rows of tacks off. Always go along the grain, taking the tacks out. If you go across it, you've got a chance of splitting the rails.
Nowadays, upholstery quality silk costs around £200 per metre and is less fashionable than in the 1920s, when it was a popular choice amongst the wealthy.
You can see how vibrant the colour's been originally on this. It's never had any light or wear on it, so it's not faded in any way.
The old sagging webbing which forms the base of the seat also needs to be replaced.
There's probably 30-odd springs, each one of them hand-sewn to the webbing. So I need to get the webs off the springs.
Although nearly 100 years old, the springs used are still in good condition today. In fact, so advanced was the company's design and technology skills, they also excelled in other areas of decoration, holding patents for revolutionary parquet flooring techniques. The aim with this restoration is to return the sofa to its original state, so Craig will use the same 100% linen webbing that the original makers would have used.
I'm using the black and white webbing, or herringbone, English webbing, whichever you want to call it. It's by far the best quality webbing that you can get. I'm using a web stretcher as well on the end. Put it on the edge of the frame and pull it. This is the proper way to do it. This frame's solid, this frame's really strong, so I can afford to get as much strain on this as I can. So this is a bit you don't see, but it's what makes the seat comfortable. So when I replace this, it's got to be as good as new, so it lives up to its price tag. These springs all need sewing to the webs. This is the needle I use. It's a packing needle. It comes in different sizes. It's got a curve on it. It's difficult to get through with a straight needle. You wouldn't manage it. Always start with a slip knot, and then every other knot on the spring is a half hitch. This has probably been done like this for the past 150 years or more. It's all webbed now, all the springs are in, they're all sewn together, and it's solid.
The Castlelane sofa has a beech wood frame with feather-filled side cushions integrated into the arms. It was this stitching of soft cushions into the design that was a unique innovation by Howard. Even with years of experience with Howard and Sons sofas, the clever detail of these arms is a challenge for Craig.
So now I've stripped down the outside back and outside arms, I can actually see to the inside. The way it's been done, it's been stitched right through to the hessian on the inside arm. That now has given me a good indication of how to carry on. It's always important to retain as much of the original as possible. People who buy these want the authenticity. And if I start changing anything on this, you're not going to have the same comfort as what's on there now. It just will not be the same piece of furniture.
In Craig's upholstery workshop, the Howard & Son sofa is now ready to be recovered. In the 1920s, all sofas in the shop would have initially been covered in an original Howard & Sons woven cotton lining fabric, or ticking, similar to this one, with H&S stitched into the design.
Because the Howard fabric has a design on it, I want to make sure that I've centralised the design running right through here. Fold the fabric in half. Just cut a little line in it when it's folded in half. So when you open it out, it's created that V. If I just line it up now with the marks on the seat, they line up perfectly. And then with a big needle, I'm stitching this in place. Push it down, that's gone now through the packing, so this will hold this seat in place.
Dru's biggest worry for this sofa was the arms, but Craig has worked out how to replicate the original.
So that corner is going to line up on this corner. Then I've got another piece here with a seam. That seam's going to tuck right inside, and then I'm going to hand sew along this seam right through the arm. Just got to do this back corner now. It's just got a little bit of wrinkles in it. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of packing in it. It's just a cotton felt. So by putting that in there now, it's got rid of that fullness that was in there. It's a privilege to be working on a piece like this. I'm happy with the results, but it's not me that counts, it's the client. And obviously if they're not happy, then Dru doesn't get his money.
3 days ago, this rare Howard & Son sofa was in tatters. Now it's painstakingly restored and recovered in the perfect replica fabric with every wonderful detail retained.
This particular model of Howard sofa I haven't done before. I think I've done it proud, you know, I've done it as it would have been done originally, and I'm pleased with the results.
The only question now is whether it will stand up to Dru's eagle eye.
Hello.
All right.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah, remember that old pink tatty thing?
Beautiful, really nice even lines across the back of it.
I've done not just the outside as it looks now, but rewebbed it all, so the seat's all supported now.
The follow-on's perfect.
Yeah, I would try to keep the pattern as best as I could on the cushions, the arms, everything, you know, it's all...
Oh yeah, look at that. And you've never done one of these before?
No, not one of these. I've done plenty of Howard, but never this model before.
How did you finish it on the inside there? 'Cause it's gone all the way down. You just have to sort of tuck in.
Yeah, it tucks in, and then I had to hand stitch all that in to give it the shape. This now is as it would have come out of the factory in a ticking.
Yeah. I have to say, I think that's your best job you've ever done for me.
Oh, thanks.
I really do.
That's the first compliment I've ever had, I think.
I know.
So it's just a keep
There's a
going.
reason why these things are so expensive. They're worth every penny. It's perfect. Every nail hole is in the correct place, every pleat, every running line on, every stitch. It's exactly how Howard would have done it.
Very rarely hear Dru say anything about anything being perfect. A lot of times he says he likes the jobs I do, or the jobs are great, but to actually hear him say something's perfect, you know, that makes it worthwhile.